for community educators and ambassadors out there who are, feeling like, oh, how am I going to keep going? There is a way. If you believe in yourself and you can just you can create your own community and you don't have to wait for affirmation from somebody else's. You can invite yourself. Hi, I'm Xian Xiao.
And I'm Sammy Winemaker. We talk about ways to put the human back at the center of care.
Waiting Room Revolution starts right now. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. This is our last episode of season 10 of our podcast. We have been revisiting our 7 keys and what we've learned in the last several years that we've been going out doing this. And in this last episode, we're going to focus on looking forward. What does the future hold? What we're excited about? And what are the next steps in the revolution and how you can be a part of it? So we are welcoming back our facilitators and moderators, Maggie and Kayla.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
And of course, my co-host and co-author, Dr. Sammy Winemaker. Yeah, all right, here we go. We've heard a lot from Sammy, and we're gonna kick off this really great season with a question from Kayla.
Yeah, so I want to know first, Sammy, what have you learned over the past few years?
Do you want to know what I've learned about CN?
No, let's not go there.
No,
Could be a
We've
whole
spent a
episode.
lot of time together. No, no, no.
We've traveled all over the place, spent a lot of time with each other. Okay. Anyway, so what have I learned? Okay. I have learned that the content of our social movement is relevant almost worldwide. I haven't been all around the world, but everywhere I go, it resonates and lands with people. And that is so affirming. The other thing that I have learned is that I wouldn't change anything about the content in a big way, maybe tweaking here and there, which means that all those years that Sienna and I took leading up to developing the 7 keys was time well spent. We did such a deep dive and a thorough sort of what we were truly hearing from patients and families and in CN's research that we nailed it. And I hate to pat myself on the back, but and CN and you guys as well, but I can't believe how proud I am that we have come up with these 7 practical and simple and straightforward mindsets, keys that people can use right away from the time of a diagnosis. And they're still holding strong. And people are even saying, it goes beyond having a serious illness. These 7 keys are just a good way of like living your life. And so I cannot believe how things have blossomed. I think that's my biggest surprise.
Yeah, and mine is a little bit different of what I've learned. I think one of the things that we meet, community educators and, are trying to make a difference and, how can one person make a difference really is something that we sort of encountered over the years. And I think what I've learned is we you have to kind of like I don't want to say bet on yourself, but make your own wave, and we are so grateful to the hospice palliative care community from all the people who have supported us and they've reached out to us and invited us, but in a way we've also worked really hard to create a platform and invited ourselves places
Mhm.
and created our own community and, and
Mhm.
and saying this is important. We can't join somebody that for so many years we were waiting to be invited and submitting things and being rejected. And I think that's part of any innovation. But I think we have found the most success when we said we're not going to play by their rules and make up our own rules. And so I say this because of all our listeners who are trying to be ambassadors in their own community and feeling resistance in the same way patients and families feel resistance against a giant healthcare system. Um, we have worked so hard to get this message out to patients, families, hospitals, the media, and so, everyone who supported us, we're grateful for. But we've had lots of people who we don't fit the general mold, and that's okay. But I want
Mhm.
our listeners to know that, remember that saying, I think it's by Margaret Mead, that never underestimate that a small group of people can change the world. In a way, the podcast, this book, all this momentum we've had, this is not our full-time job. We just do this because of all the patients and families who say this is important and we keep going. And I think for community educators and ambassadors out there who are feeling like, oh, how am I going to keep going? There is a way. If you believe in yourself and you can just you can create your own community and you don't have to wait for affirmation from somebody else's. You can invite yourself to talks. You can say, hey, I have this product. Would you consider inviting us? Would you consider letting me come and sell books or whatever? Like, I think it's okay to ask that. That's a way of us inviting ourselves to these networks that we just didn't know how to do. But when we did it, and we got some yeses, and those led us to other yeses. So it just no change is not easy, but and it's taken us a while to get here. But we're all this whole revolution is about sharing our platform, our message, our materials for others, so that you can do it too. And I know that it can be done because we've seen it examples all over the world, and I think we can grow as a really strong community.
It's almost like you've invited yourself to share the materials with everyone in the world. So speaking about that, the workbook is now available. It's available on any online bookseller that you choose. So far, people have really loved it. Can you tell us a little bit more about the workbook and what's in it and give people a sense of, what the workbook's all about?
Mhm. Okay, well, I can start, then you can come in, Cian. But so the workbook, by the way, pairs beautifully with the book, Hope for the Best, Plan for the Rest. So they can be companions for sure. Um, but the workbook is also a standalone workbook. You can go through it without having read the book. So that's the nice thing. So what is it? It really is a series of exercises and reflections that culminate at the end into this tool called My Big Picture. The goal of the workbook is really to help people um, ensure that they are seen as a unique person, that I am Sammy, and working through the different chapters in the workbook will teach me how to remain Sammy and bring Sammy forward each time I interact with the healthcare system, so that I'm not just treated as a standard person, that I'm different from everyone else.
Curious, who have been the partners in this work? Like what collaborations have kind of surprised you?
The two of us.
That we've survived this long, maybe.
That's the biggest surprise that Cian and I have found each other. I think that is the number one surprising partnership that hasn't waned for a minute. We've had maybe three squabbles, and that's it. You know what? Yeah, I think, okay, no, all seriousness, I think that the biggest surprise was Dying with Dignity, I think, in Toronto. So the Toronto chapter of Dying with Dignity, um, I thought was a group that focused solely on advocating for people to get medical assistance in dying. But there's so much more than that. And they really embraced one of their, board of directors had just stumbled upon our book and then decided to buy a copy for everyone on the board. They all read it and decided that they wanted to do some public education around the 7 keys. And so it just was surprising to me because I thought, well, what would an organization that's so focused on medical assistance in dying want with what we are advocating for, which is living your best life, having the best illness experience from the time of diagnosis to the time, you're gone. And they, it's so wonderful because they feel very strongly about public education and understand that, this kind of work that we're doing can work, alongside people's choices at the end of life. And in Canada, assisted dying is a choice, but it's not the only choice. And I just love that they are broad-minded.
Yeah. And I think, um, where we found common ground is choice and control, right? Trying to increase people's choice, control, and information. And so it isn't about pushing people one way or the other. But I think for my answer to that, the surprising collaborations, we know the hospice palliative care community so well and are so grateful for them. But in a way, we wanted to grow the umbrella and to grow the community. And so I think I've been most surprised or excited by collaborations in this community called public health palliative care, which are really thinking about social determinants and of care and of how people die, and within that, this idea of compassionate communities, which is a term that Julian Abel and Alan Kelleher created in the UK, but it is a global thing, and it's about caring communities and how we care for each other, and volunteerism and education and support, and how community has always been there for people dying, and how dying is a social experience, not a medical one. And so within that community, and there's a whole research group, that a research community who does research in it. But the death doulas or end of life doulas are related, funeral directors, and then community educators,
Mhm.
many of whom are associated with hospices, but not only, who are really about educating patients and families about what it is to have an illness. And that includes from different disease organizations. So in a way, through luck, through our hard work, through our team that has been so great at communication and messaging, we have grown from or moved from not just people who would identify as palliative care experts, but to patients, families, disease site groups, and communities. And that's where this work belongs. So those collaborations with doulas and compassionate community members, like that has been so rewarding because that is where this message needs to happen. And it's not about us giving the talks, it's about empowering them to do that. And so that's what we've worked really hard to do and set up for the next couple years.
Mhm. That's great. So the workbook is now out, and I'm holding it up if you're watching on
I
YouTube, and it
haven't
is
even had a chance to hold it yet.
it is so beautiful. And I just want to know, tell us about the workbook. What give us a sense of what it's about.
Let's see how thick it is. I want to see. Oh, it's perfect. It's so perfect. Go like this, like fan it. Let's see. Oh, lots of nice white space. Okay, sorry, what'd you say?
Okay, so I said, tell me about the workbook. What's the workbook all about? What can people expect with it?
Uh, you can expect to feel at the end of this workbook like you can do this. You're going to feel like you know what to do next. You feel confident, that you feel like you're going to be able to represent yourself and the people in your life. Um, I think you're going to feel more in control when you work through the workbook. This workbook is a series of reflections and um, questions and exercises and um, lots more than that. Frequently asked questions, because we've been at this for so long. For each of the keys, we know when we're in an audience of 1,000 people, we can tell you exactly what questions people are going to ask because we've done it so many times. The same questions come up over and over again. So we've included them in the workbook so that everyone who might have the same questions can get the answers. But yeah, the workbook is you get your pen or your pencil out and you just start, practically going through each chapter. There are opportunities to download different tools to use and share with the people around you and your healthcare provider. I don't want to give it away too much because then people won't think they need it. But we are so excited to get this workbook out to citizens because so many people asked us for it when they read the book. You've got to have more. Do you have a workbook? Do you have a course? Do you have a workshop? And so, yeah, this is like, now we can say, you could say this before, but now I can't believe I can say the co-author of multiple books. I can't believe it.
And my daughter looked at it and she was like, Mom, this is so cool. It's like worksheets. People can actually write in it. So if an 11-year-old gets it, then, I think everyone will love it.
Yeah.
And for all the partners that you talked about earlier, I know that there's something exciting coming along with the workbook, a workshop in a box. So maybe Stan, you can tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, it's exactly what Sammy was saying. People said,
Wait, this is the drum roll. Can you tell I
"Oh,
don't play drums?
the what we realized is yes, individuals can buy the workbook from any online store, direct to them, and the book, of course. But there was something about uh, the communities and these collaborations that we had, these community educators. We call them, waiting room revolution ambassadors. But these people in the communities who also had a role and could bring people together. They knew the people that and the connections and how to, educate or reach, provide information to their community. And so we basically realized the workbook, and we kind of go through each chapter and sort of help people, not just understand the key, but what to do to what actions to take and what to say and things like that. It's kind of like a course. And so we have created this workshop in a box. That's what we're calling it. It's going to be on our website. It's free, and basically we have a facilitator guide so that any community educator can find out how to purchase our materials and start teaching this class or this course or these workshops for their own community. So they don't need to wait for our busy schedules or to connect with us. We might be too far away. Um, or we'd be happy to zoom in, but they don't need us because this information belongs to the people, belongs to you. And so the workshop in a box has step-by-step slides, exercises, suggestions for things, discussion questions, and they can make it their own. They can mix and match it so that they can, meet and provide information that meets their community's needs the best. And that workshop in a box is free, and there's information about how to become an ambassador and join our community of ambassadors. And we're super excited about that.
Yeah, I think it was an aha moment when, we said, okay, well, we want to go to this community, and you and I might not be from that community. So Maggie and Kayla helped us identify a point person in that community who had credibility and understood how to get people to come together. And I think that's what you're calling our ambassadors, these people who we call community educators, but people who bring the public together for a purpose. And this example would be for the purpose of going through the workbook in a workshop format, which can be groups online or groups in person, so that slowly but surely, one country at a time, that we raise the health literacy of people who are inevitably going to be diagnosed with something or inevitably be interfacing with the healthcare system. It is not intuitive to be a patient. It's not intuitive to be a caregiver. And so it's not intuitive to know how to work with this huge conglomerate called the healthcare system. And so you can easily go sideways without even knowing it. And so the book and the workbook are to educate the citizens of the world that it's worth it to know about being a patient, being a caregiver. It is worth it. It's in your best interest because we know at the end of life that people who have journeyed in the know versus in the dark do way better. So it's like we're doing like a public announcement with our workshop in a box, and our ambassadors are going to help us scale this because we cannot duplicate ourselves and be everything to everyone. So we had to identify people, whether they're doulas or educators or nurses that have retired and they're, volunteering, educating, like whoever it is. We need people to hold these workshops.
Yeah, and it's not just holding them. They have tons of knowledge about what are the local resources and assets that they have that can support them. So we can talk high level about the keys, but once you realize you need more information, you're going to look around and go, what does my community offer? And what
Mhm.
are my local supports? And those community educators, ambassadors are the best people to answer that. So that's why this is the right approach. And you can mix and match these workshops to be different times and different formats and with different topics and flavors based on who your audience is. So it's really adaptable, and that's what has worked really well in this revolution.
So if you like the idea, of being an ambassador or getting more information about the workshop in a box, you can go to our website. We'll also have the information in the show notes for this episode. So I'm curious, the workshop in a box, the workbook, the book, originally the podcast, like tell us, what are your dreams for the future? Like, what does success look like? What's the grand plan?
Okay, well, I mean, if we bring it full circle to why we ever started this revolution, this social movement, I pray for the day that I am not hearing so many patients and families say to me, I wish I would have heard that sooner. I wish I would have known that before. I would have done things differently. That is the reason why we're putting this out there, because it's just become so unfair and so unjust and so unbalanced for patients and families when they are working with the healthcare system. So I don't want to hear people that have been in the dark because they haven't been invited. That's what I'm hoping for. And I'm also hoping that one day the healthcare system will need very few palliative care specialists because it's properly taught. This philosophy of care, this approach to care is properly integrated, peppered into the curriculum of all healthcare providers so that every one of us understands what's our role in the provision of this human-centered, patient-centered, relational care that is not just beneficial at the very end of life, that it's beneficial throughout the care journey. And it's not just beneficial to patients and families, it's beneficial to us as healthcare providers because it helps us to stay resilient in our work. Those are my lofty goals.
I would say that I think we have been working so hard to try to plan for the future, and success would look like growing our ambassador community, right? The workshop in a box are the materials for ambassadors, our community educators, and I think we would love to strengthen that global community. It is global community. We get emails from the Philippines, from Malaysia, from all parts of Europe, Australia. So and it's wonderful. But Sammy and I can't do it alone, and so we love meeting our ambassadors, but we want to bring them together because I think collectively we can learn so much more together. And in fact, I think our ambassadors have so much information that we could learn. We know we can learn from them and to teach each other. So we want to connect to them through our ambassador program. We want to help them to succeed and strengthen their work that's already happening in communities through conferences, virtual ones, or bringing together. So joining our ambassador community will be a way for you to meet other ambassadors and to build the revolution. I mean, I think that's what success is. Nothing short of a waiting room revolution, so that patients and families know that they can have more choice and control and don't feel in the dark, but are in the know. So, we're going to keep working, but we need your help, and we hope this workbook and the workshop in a box is a big step towards that.
So people can look up our website, right? thewaitingroomrevolution.com. On the website, and Kayla, you've done an awesome job with our website. You can see all the different tools that we have for free. You can look at the different podcast episodes. We always point people back to episode number season 1, sorry. There's 10 episodes. And know when, different events are happening and new tools are coming out. But joining our newsletter is big bang for its buck.
Yeah, easy. And we have lots of roadmaps. We've been working on tons of collaboration. So there's tons of things happening in the pipeline, but we're excited about the future, and we hope you are too, listening. So thank you for joining us on this season 10 recap of the 7 keys, and check out the workbook and the workshop in a box and let us know what you think.
Thank you for listening. The workbook, Applying the 7 Keys for Navigating a Life-Changing Diagnosis, is available at select retailers now. Visit our website, waitingroomrevolution.com, for more details. On the website, you can also find free resources, event listings, learn more about the movement, and you can join our newsletter, which is the best way to keep up with everything Waiting Room Revolution. This episode was produced by Maggie Sivak, Cien Ciao, Kayla McMillan, and Shilpa Jyothi Kumar. Our theme music is Maypole by Ketsa.